Hi, my name's Ruth and I'm part of the landscape conservation team at Essex Wildlife Trust. And obviously it isn't me you're watching at the moment, but a patch of rosebay willow herb alive with pollinators. But what are pollinators? And what is pollination? And why is it so important? So what is pollination? Pollination is the transfer of pollen from the anther, the male part of the flower, to the stigma, the female part of the flower, to allow fertilisation to take place. Pollen is the male sex cell of plants, and some of pollen, for example grass, can be carried by the wind. Other pollen is just too heavy, so it needs to be moved by another way, and that is when pollinators come into play. Pollinators include bees, hoverflies, moths, beetles, butterflies, and many other insects, and even bats are acting as pollinators in some cases. Flowers have evolved an enticing substance to attract pollinators, nectar, and some pollinators require pollen for their young and collect it, but in all cases, as the insect moves from one flower to another, like this bee, it carries pollen with it and leaves some of it behind on the stigma of the new flower. When the pollen transfers onto the stigma, which is sticky, it releases a chemical that allows it to move down the style to the ovary where it can fertilise the ova. This eventually divides and turns into the new seeds, which in a lot of cases are surrounded by yummy fruit and vegetables, and in some cases nuts, which we love to eat. Pollination also allows for the mixing of the male and female genes that are found in the pollen and the ova, and this means that plants are healthier and more resilient to disease. It also means that we get new varieties appearing at random, although in some cases humans manipulate the pollination process by moving the pollen themselves to get the desired characteristics that they want for our fruit and vegetables, like size, taste or colour. So without pollination, we would not have many of our favourite fruit, vegetables and flowers. Allowing native and pollinator-friendly plants into our gardens and leaving wild areas will support our pollinators and allow them to move between habitats, and so move pollen between plants, and so allow pollination to occur.